Oakland, California, the autumn of 1966. Two young men, Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale, students at a local community college, sit at a table and write down 10 demands: freedom, full employment, decent housing, real education, an end to the police brutality in their neighborhoods. They call their list the 10-point program, and they call their organization the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. Within a few years, it will be one of the most famous and most feared political organizations in America. The image the world remembers is the image of the gun. Young black men and women in black leather jackets and berets, rifles held openly and legally, following squad cars through the streets of Oakland to watch the watchmen. In 1967, the Panthers walked into the California state capitol carrying those guns, and the photograph traveled around the world. But behind that image was something the cameras caught far less often: the party-fed children. Its free Breakfast for Children program served hot meals to tens of thousands of kids before school in cities across the country. A program so effective that it helped shame the federal government into expanding its own. The Panthers ran free health clinics. They tested for sickle cell anemia when almost no one else would. They called it serving the people, and it won them a following far deeper than the rifles ever could. That following frightened the most powerful men in the country. The director of the FBI called the Black Panther Party the single greatest threat to the internal security of the United States, and he set out to destroy it. Through a secret program of surveillance, infiltration, forged letters, and raids, the government worked to turn the Panthers against one another and against their allies. Leaders were jailed, driven into exile, set at each other's throats, and in the pre-dawn hours of December 4th, 1969, police raided a Chicago apartment and killed Fred Hampton, the brilliant, magnetic 21-year-old who led the Illinois chapter as he lay asleep in his bed. He had been building the thing the authorities feared even more than the guns: a coalition. Hampton called it the Rainbow Coalition. He had begun stitching together the unlikeliest of allies: Black Panthers, Puerto Rican radicals, poor white Southerners who had migrated north, street organizations, and student groups, around the things they shared rather than the color that divided them. It was, perhaps, the most dangerous idea the party ever had, and in the years that followed, the Panthers did try to turn from the gun to the ballot. Bobby Seale ran for mayor of Oakland in 1973 and came startlingly close. The party poured itself into local elections and reshaped the city around it. But the movement had been bled too badly. By prison, by exile, by infighting, by the long secret war waged against it. And by the early 1980s, the Black Panther Party was gone. That is the history written in our world. But our world is only one of many. Time runs in branches, and every branch turns on a single moment that might have gone another way. A raid that arrives a minute too late. A warning that comes in time. A young leader who lives to see 30. Somewhere in that endless web of what-ifs lies a reality where the party was not strangled in its cradle, where it grew up, set down the rifle, took up the ballot, and became something permanent. Let us cross over and follow that world all the way to its end. The moment of divergence comes in the dark, on that December night in 1969. In our timeline, the raid goes exactly as planned. In this one, it does not. Word of it reaches the apartment first. The ambush becomes an arrest, and the arrest cannot hold. Fred Hampton walks out of a courtroom, a free man and a living symbol. The leader of the state tried to silence and could not, and the secret war against the party, dragged into the daylight a little sooner by the scandal of what was attempted, loses the cover of darkness it needed to do its worst. What Hampton does with those extra years changes everything. He is, above all else, a builder of bridges, and he turns the party's enormous energy toward the one weapon the government cannot raid or outlaw: the vote. The Rainbow Coalition becomes a real and lasting thing, a movement of the poor of every color, organized block by block, city by city, around rent and wages and schools and the price of dignity. The gun, which had made the Panthers famous and made them targets, is quietly retired as a symbol, In its place rises the image the party will carry into its future: the breakfast table, the clinic, the ballot box. And the coalition he builds does not look the way America expects a Black radical movement to look. Hampton's gift is for the unglamorous arithmetic of the poor, the recognition that a Black mother in Oakland, a white coal miner's son, newly arrived in Chicago, and a Puerto Rican kid in the South Bronx are squeezed by the same landlords, the same bosses, the same broken schools. The party that grew out of one neighborhood, rage, becomes the political home of the dispossessed of every color. And that, far more than any rifle, is what makes it dangerous to the established order. For the first time, the voters the two great parties had always relied on to stay divided begin, slowly, to pull in the same direction. The breakthrough comes where the groundwork was already laid. In Oakland, the mayoral campaign that fell just short in our world succeeds in this one, and a party that began by patrolling the police now runs the city the police answer to. It governs well enough to be re-elected, and that single fact that the Panthers can win and hold and deliver becomes the spark. Across the country, in Chicago and Detroit, in Newark and Los Angeles, organizers who came up through the survival programs run for school boards, city councils, and mayors' offices, and they win. The free breakfast becomes free breakfast for every child in the city. Community control of the police, once a slogan painted on a wall, becomes an ordinance. What carries it is not rhetoric, but the record. The survival programs that began as acts of defiance, the breakfasts, the clinics, the free clothing and legal aid and door-to-door ambulance crews become the party as proof that it can be trusted with power. People who would never march behind a raised fist will vote for the organization that fed their children, tested their blood, and showed up when no one else did. Where the major parties promise and then ask for the vote, the party delivers first and asks afterward. And in the neighborhoods everyone else had written off, that simple reversal is revolutionary all by itself. And then comes the step the party never reached in our world. The scattered local victories are gathered into something national and permanent, a single party with a platform, a structure, and a name meant to outlive its founders. It does not lunge for the presidency in a season. It does what enduring parties do. It wins the small offices first, the ones the two great parties overlook, and from them, it builds a base that the giants can no longer ignore. By the end of the 1970s, there are mayors, state legislators, and members of Congress who owe their seats not to the established machines, but to the movement that grew out of a breakfast program and a 10-point list. In a system built for two parties, a disciplined and deeply rooted third becomes something rare and formidable, the bloc that decides. Neither giant can assemble a majority without it, and so its demands, once dismissed as radical fantasy, begin to find their way into law. Free meals for every school child, neighborhood health clinics funded as a matter of course, civilian boards with real authority over the police, a floor beneath the very poorest, written not as charity but as right. The party does not have to govern the whole country to change it. It only has to make itself impossible to ignore. And it does. The giants are forced to respond. One of the two great parties, watching its oldest constituencies drift toward the upstart, lurches to meet it, adopting half the party's program in order to blunt its rise, and in the process dragging the whole center of American politics in a direction it had spent decades resisting. The other hardens against it, and the fights grow sharp, sometimes ugly. But the argument the country is now having is no longer the narrow one it had before. The questions the Panthers forced onto the table: who the economy is for, who the police answer to, what a nation owes its poorest members, become questions no candidate for national office can simply step around. The deeper change is in who believes the system belongs to them. In our world, the destruction of the Panthers taught a generation that the radical road led only to a prison cell or an early grave. In this one, the lesson is the reverse, that an organization born in the most powerless corner of American life clawed its way into the rooms where decisions are made. And stayed there. The beret and the rifle fade into history, and the party that replaces them becomes a fixture of the ballot, as ordinary and as permanent as any other. A movement the most powerful men in the country once swore to wipe from the earth becomes, instead, a part of the furniture of the republic. And yet, permanence has a price, and the party pays it. To win and hold power is to compromise, to deal, to trade the clarity of the movement for the machinery of office. And an organization that once answered only to the people in the street must now answer to voters, to donors, to the slow grind of the possible. Some of its own founders warn that a revolution that becomes a political party has not so much triumphed as surrendered on comfortable terms. Factions form, ambitions curdle. Not every leader who rises from the breakfast line is a Fred Hampton. And the same institutions the party set out to overturn begin, gently, to absorb it until it is never quite clear whether the movement has tamed the system or the system has tamed the movement. Follow that road to its end, and what you find is neither a utopia nor a betrayal, but something more human, a movement that lived long enough to grow complicated. It fed children, and it cut deals. It won real power, and it lost a little of its soul to get there. It became, in the end, an ordinary political party, which is to say, it became the one thing the Black Panthers of our world were never permitted to become, because that is the part our timeline cannot give back. In our world, the party was killed young, its leaders shot or exiled or locked away, its breakfast tables folded up, its boldest organizer dead in his bed at 21, before he could learn what he might have built. We never got to see the Black Panther Party grow up. And the line between the history we know and the one we do not is as thin as a single night in Chicago, as thin as a raid that, in another world, arrived a moment too late. This has been Historically Parallel.